Good morning, all. Thank you for joining us for this team announcement presser ahead of the match against Glasgow Warriors at Hollywood Bets Kings Park on Saturday, the 15th of October. We have released the team earlier. Has everyone had a chance to view the team?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'm now going to hand over to Sean and open the floor for questions.
Morning, everyone.
Morning, Sean.
Sean, do you want to just talk us through your policy of selection here? Obviously, you want to assimilate the boxing sort of off the bench mostly.
Yes, obviously we've been away for 3 weeks and the box had a week off, and then they came back into training last week, and we used that as an integration week for them. So they haven't really had an opportunity to train fully with the team until yesterday, funnily enough. So yeah, we know that cohesion is important. We also know that making too many changes at once can disrupt things a little bit. So it's part of our plan to play some of them off the bench, but at the same time, it's also to reward some of the players that have played extremely well for us while we were overseas.
Sean, it's a very nice side effect of that if everything comes together, you're going to have a hell of a bench coming on in the second half, guys who can really make a huge impact.
Yes, very much so. We look at our front row stocks now, and we're blessed with the quality of players that we have in the front row. And then obviously to be able to call on the likes of Ox, Bongi and Karlusadi, certainly helps our cause of where we want to go. And as well as leadership in the likes of Sio Kolisi, as well as Mapimpi, who's coming off the bench, who's also a leader in his own right. So, yeah, it makes for a strong match day 23.
Manis, followed by Mike.
Yeah. I mean, actually, with no Eben and actually Sia and Makazoli, yes, you have like a heavyweight team. I mean, yeah, you must be actually looking forward to see what they will add on the park Saturday, Sean.
Yeah, as individuals, they're great. Well, they're world-class players, as we know. Evan's the best lock in the world, so it's great to have him, and it's one of the reasons why we're starting him. We feel that we can improve our lineouts, and Evan will bring a lot to us there, as well as with his ball carrying ability. Yeah, like I said to you, we're phasing them in off the bench as well, because we feel that a good start is crucial to getting a victory over Glasgow, and obviously cohesion plays a big part of that.
Mike,
Sean, just on Evan, obviously he's one of the biggest names in world rugby. He's making his debut for the Sharks. He's back in South Africa. Just what frame of mind is he in? How's he feeling about his debut? What kind of can we expect from the big guy?
Yeah, he's very excited to be a part of the Sharks. He has settled in well. He's managed to settle down at home as well, and he's made Durban his home, so he's extremely excited for the occasion tomorrow. He certainly does bring a wealth of experience, as we know, to the team, and obviously leadership, and the younger guys are learning from him. So yeah, he's in a good place, and everyone has made him feel welcome, and he certainly looks at home.
Can I have a question from Sabu, followed by Ken and Dylan?
Thanks, Novash. Hi, Sean. My question is just around Takia Abrahams, who acquitted himself very well overseas. But can you talk us through the decision to play Forming instead?
Yeah, it was quite an easy decision for us. Takia has carried quite a big workload in the pre-season friendlies, and he's played every minute on tour for us as well. He's also come off a lengthy injury. He was out for almost a year with that knee injury, and we feel that he needs to rest this week, and that's why we've gone with Anthony, who has been part of our squad while we were overseas.
Just a quick follow-up on selection. Rowan Janssen van Rensburg, of course, the red card last week, but I don't believe he received a suspension. Is it just rotational?
No, Rowan van Rensburg was suspended for 4 games.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Okay. Ken, followed by Dylan.
Thanks so much. Sean, and another debutant, not a Springbok, but Vincent Satuka brings a different dynamic to your loose trio, doesn't he?
Yeah, very much so. Vincent struggled with injuries of late, so it's glad to see him making a return, and that's why we've given him a start. The sooner he gets back into the mix, the better. He was also fortunate to have been able to train with us over the last couple of weeks while we were overseas. So he does bring a different dimension. We also know that he was the top loose forward in the URC last season. He achieved a number of Man of the Match awards in the latter part of the URC. So we're certainly excited to what he can bring. And with him and Evan in our pack, it certainly improves our line-out options.
Dylan, followed by Mike.
Thanks, Navashni. Hi, Sean. Of course, Glasgow Warriors are coming off a good win against the Bulls up in Scotland. Have you identified some of the areas, sort of some of the traps that they lured the Bulls into that you're going to sort of try and avoid this weekend?
Yeah, it's about us dealing with it. You can't get away from what they're good at, and they've got an extremely good line-out. They've got some tall timber in their pack. So their line-out is a threat, and we learned that last year when we played them in Glasgow. For them, they want to play a speed game. They're quite formidable at home, and they blew the Bulls away with their speed and aggression at the breakdown. As we know, 4G pitches are a lot quicker, and I think the Bulls battle to adjust to that. It's not easy to go from grass pitches straight onto a 4G and play against teams that are accustomed to it. Glasgow haven't lost at home for over a year. So they've got a proud record, and obviously they've vastly improved from when they played against Benetton in the first round of the URC. So we're expecting a big tussle. They like to move the ball around, and in areas where we struggled last week, we need to improve on, and that's our defense in the back. So yeah, it's gonna be a tough game tomorrow.
Navasha, Sean's pretty much answered what I was going to ask, but I will just add on to that. Sean, they hardly lose in Glasgow, and they don't win too often on the road. Just going back to that match last October, where the conditions were, could they be any more different to what they will be tomorrow? And just can you cash in on that?
Yeah, we were looking at the weather, and it's been changing on a daily basis. Early in the week it was going to rain, and there was a good chance of rain, but it's not going to be as hot as it was, in the latter part of this week, today and yesterday. But actually, at the end of the day, it's about us executing. We've got, certain areas of our game right from week to week, and then, where we've got things right, we've been inconsistent in certain areas. So for us, it's about focusing on what we can do. We know the challenge at Glasgow, what we have in Glasgow, but I'm quite sure that coming here to Durban, playing at Kings Park is going to be a challenge for them as well.
Ken, you can go ahead with your question.
Thanks, Sean. Speaking of going from grass to 4G, presumably the opposite is true, that it might be difficult to adapt from 4G to grass. And I'm not sure what the humidity is like in Durban at the moment, but could that also be a factor in your favor? Yeah,
the humidity is always a factor in the heat. We've had extreme heat over the last couple of days, but we won't, although it could help us, we're not going to look at that as a ploy to wear them down. The weather tomorrow is cool. It's predicted is cool, cloudy, and if it rains, then obviously there'll be less humidity. So it's about us getting our rugby fundamentals right, and improving areas that let us down last week.
The Bull, you can proceed with your question.
Hi, Sean. Thanks. Just around Rowan, you know, getting that suspension. He had a good start to his Sharks career, you know. Maybe too boisterous in his tackling in the closing stages against Leinster. Will this disrupt his momentum and your backline momentum? Because if you look at the tries you guys scored last week, there was a lot of cohesion there against Leinster in terms of first phase possession, moving the ball through the hands. Is there going to be any disruption at all, do you think? And what do you make of his momentum?
Yeah, Ron's done really well since he's been at the Sharks. It's almost rejuvenated his career. And it reminded me on Saturday of the games that he played so well in for the Lions. Yes, of course, losing a Springbok does disrupt us somewhat, but it's something that you have to deal with in rugby because there's always injuries as well. But I think I'm just so excited for a guy like Marnus Potgieter, who's getting an opportunity to start in the 13 jersey. You know, I've known Marnus for a long period of time, and I've been watching him from school. And when he was at the Bulls, he didn't get much opportunity at centre, but he is actually a centre. So he's getting an opportunity in the position that he's grown up with and playing in. So it's an exciting opportunity for him.
Are there any further questions?
Just a follow up on that, Novash. Ben Tapwai, also looking very sharp. He also had an unfortunate injury last year. Very good at putting players around him away. Do you think Marnus will benefit as well as the other outside backs?
Oh, definitely. You know, Ben's like one of the coaches on the field. You know, directs the traffic really well on attack, and the game that he played against Leinster, he executed really well, and it was definitely one of his best games that he's had in the Sharks jersey. So obviously the people around him feed off his energy, and when he's playing well, he's got an abundance of it. So Marnus is very fortunate to have a guy inside him that can help him and guide him through the game. Although Marnus himself is now 23 years old, he's played a number of URC games. You know, he's played Super Rugby, he's represented the Bulls at Currie Cup level, and he's played SA under 20s for 2 years. So, you know, he's not short of experience himself, but, you know, starting in the 13 jersey, he certainly will be helped by Ben's experience.
Are there any further questions? If there are none,